Slave of stability syndrome, or well, slave of stability in short, or SOS in an even shorter meaning, is a personal term that coins an aspect that's been, well, relevant to human societies ever since we probably know the idea of awareness, unconscious awareness more specifically. Slave of stability is basically slavery towards meaning. Many people fight for meaning as if meaning bears any importance to them. Meaning is just a tool we all created, starting from languages, words, structures, and such. All that meaning is basically a conclusion. When you end up a thought process with a conclusion, that means stability. It means that that is the final result, and, well, you're gonna accept it as such. You're literally accepting it as is. Ignorance itself is the end of all thought processes, because in ignorance you don't think for yourself. In ignorance you allow everyone else to think and act on your behalf. You're ignoring your karma, your parental karma, your, well, ancestral karma, and you're allowing the past to simply take hold of you, and you react to everything. See, all your reactions, all your actions that you take unconsciously, because that's what a reaction is, an action that you take unconsciously based on past time fears, worries, and such. See, all these things are conclusions you once made, probably in previous times, lifetimes, probably in this one, or probably other people made for you in previous lifetimes or this one. It doesn't matter. They are all conclusions. A conclusion is structure. Slaves towards structure, right? They need, the idea of stability, because a controlling mind cannot accept that which flows. A controlling mind is frozen, and it is frozen into the past, because the point is, structure means rigid. The more rigid one is, the less they allow themselves to flow, the less open they are to change. Change is the only constant. If you allow to become a glimpse of the past, as I call it, a picture of the past, see, the problem is you will constantly repeat the past, and you will live it again and again, and you will suffer the same consequences again and again. Irrespective of whatever you may try, the outcome will be the same. Structure will not yield anything, because structure means rigidity. It means being frozen. There is no change. There is no anything. That which you have experienced already will constantly repeat, most likely in other shapes and forms. But the emotional and psychological outcome will always be the same. And it will always be pain. It will always be trauma. If that is that which you wish, that is what which you shall get. Because in this life, what you seek is what you will get. I'm not a supporter of the flow of distraction, as I call it, or as humans call it, the flow of attraction. But the point is, see, there is a certain sort of energy that we all put out. And based on that, certain outcomes will be more favorable or less favorable in one's life. I don't support the idea of the law of attraction the way it is constantly promoted, but the point is, whatever you attract in your life is your own doing. If it is unconscious doing or conscious doing, well, that is only your choice. Most of the people exist based on unconscious doing. They just react to everything based on their own karmic debt, based on their own, structures of the past. And a structure is rigidity. The more rigid you create it, the more time you will require to simply undo it later on. Because life means undoing that which you have built. That is what awareness means. Dissolving all the illusions we have built through meaning, and realizing that meaning is nothing but a tool. We have created language, we have created structures, we have created all this karma that we have. We have created all this trauma, all this pain that we go through. and we allow it to simply take hold of us instead of taking the steps to make it much better, right? To make a much better life, not only for us, but especially for those who come after us. Because once you live your life, there is nothing that's going to remain out of you. If you want to be a part of history, you've got to take action. Why do you think ignorance never become part of history? Well, some of the leaders, though ignorant, they may have gotten into the history books, but most likely they weren't introduced there for their wisdom. They were probably among the victorious ones, but the point is, in the end, life will simply shift to another stage. There is no victory against life, because if you are rigid, you become obsessed with rigid. You become obsessed with your own personality, and you will forget that you are mortal. Life passes through multiple stages, if not even million lifetimes. And if you don't acknowledge the fact that you will sooner or later die, you will fear death and you will go through so much pain because all your structure will simply be swept away by the moment the life force within you will simply leave, because the physical body fades with every second that passes. The only thing that passes is not time. It is the fact that your body, be it that you switch to a cybernetic one, to an elemental one, or you keep to this biological one that you have been given, all shapes and sizes of physicality simply dwindle in time, in quality. They become less and less capable of supporting life, the life form that you are. And once this quality to maintain life goes under a certain level, well, life cannot simply exist and it will simply flow outside. That is what technically we call that term which we have demonized through narcissism and religion and called it as death, right? As that evil thing that takes away the narcissist's perfection, right? Because perfection at the same time is nothing else than rigidity. It is nothing else than an illusion most people build, believing that if they embrace perfection, they will achieve a sense of, well, fulfillment. But there is no such thing as fulfillment through meaning. Because if you seek fulfillment through something that you, and especially your ancestors, have invented, well, it's like playing with air. You know, when you create soap bubbles, they are just a tiny bit of air caught in a simple frame of physicality. That frame of physicality is so short, and it pops afterwards, and the air inside becomes one with nature, one with creation, right? One with everything that is around. The same thing will happen to you. It doesn't matter how strong you make your bubble, how big you make your bubble. Only the ego can be molded based on whatever meaning you feed it. The point is, when this life ends, all that meaning will be simply swept away. And, well, every structure that you have built will simply become as meaningless as meaning itself is. It is nothing else than a tool. It is wise to make use of a tool rather than allowing it to control it. This is how a wise human would live their life. You don't need to create attachments towards anything in this world. The wise people know one thing. You have come here without anything. Even this body, the body that you are within, that you live through, that body is not even yours. It is lent to you by this planet. It is a piece of the planet that we have taken, thanks to our parents who allowed us to exist. And the point is, this body shall become one with the planet again. You will give it back to the planets, even if there it is indeed no interest, but you will give that body, bit by bit, all pieces of it will go back to the planet, and you will remain a spirit. The only thing you will take is your karma, and based on that, you will find a new body. And again, and again, and again. And you will become most likely slave of meaning every time you increase this thing. As I've been saying, the more you do a certain thing, the better you will become at it. And this will improve the karma in that. So you will have to deal with this even more lifetimes from there. The more rigid you make a certain structure, the more it will take you to simply dissolve it. As Marcus Aurelius also said, Whatever we do now shall echo through the ages. Take care. If you think this life of yours sucks and it is shit, all this suffering that you create you have to dissolve in future lifetimes, and you also have to deal with the challenges of those lifetimes. So every lifetime that you live in misery will also add up to the misery of future lifetimes. And sooner or later, you will wake up and you will realize the shit you've been doing uselessly and mindlessly with your previous lifetimes, and that karma has to be purged through. And it will take a long time, probably numerous lifetimes of concentration and, well, very profound existence that will allow you to go through the higher layers of existence and awareness. And when one becomes capable of consciously living a human body, that is when they shall become one with creation. This is the purpose and the end game of life. Once that is achieved, no more reincarnation and no more slavery towards the mind. Only an untrained mind requires meaning, because meaning is a distraction. It is a tool that hides your pains, but it never solves them. It only hides them. All this being said, you are appreciated. Take care. Become introspective, and you'll see that answers that you're seeking are, well, everywhere within you, waiting for you to uncover them. And you will see that the worlds that you have seen, once you strip yourself of the meaning that you have accumulated, you'll see the world is completely different from what you have been fed. All this being said, have an awesome day. Take care. Ferenc Board signing out.